Have you ever really stopped to think about, giving flowers? It feels simple, right? A nice gesture, a gift. Maybe you remember getting a bouquet once or picking one out.
Mm.
But underneath all that, there's this huge global industry. We're talking billions of dollars, and it's changing fast. So today, we're going to dive deep. We're unpacking the global floral gifting market outlook based on a report from Cognitive Market Research. Our mission, to get into the trends, see who the big players are regionally, and honestly uncover some really surprising growth stories. And the scale is pretty immense. Back in 2021, the market was worth just under $24 billion. dollars.
24 billion. Wow.
Yeah, and it's not slowing down. Projections show it hitting over 28.5 billion by 2025, and then, get this, blooming to nearly $41 billion by 2033.
41 billion.
That's a steady global growth rate, the CAGR, of about 4.5%. So, okay, let's unpack this. How does something so traditional become this, dynamic global force? What's pushing it?
Well, it's fascinating, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
it's not just about the money. These numbers really tell a story
Yeah.
about human connection, celebration, all that. But also how these universal things translate into, well, major economic activity across so many different cultures. It reflects those deep gifting traditions, sure, but also how they're meshing with economic shifts, changing habits. Think about it. Even something like a simple bouquet gets tied into bigger trends like, say, urbanization or online shopping.
Right. And speaking of growth, let's start with the real heavyweight champion here, Asia Pacific. This region doesn't just chip in; it really dominates the global market. The size alone is staggering. It was worth around $9.5 billion back in 2021.
9.5 billion just for that region.
Exactly. And it's projected to swell to almost $16 billion, $15.8 billion by 2033. That's a strong CAGR, around 4.4%.
Hmm.
Now, within Asia Pacific, China is the biggest piece of the pie, no surprise there. Forecast to hit almost $6.7 billion by 2033.
Okay.
That's up from about $3.8 billion in 2021. Here's what I found really interesting. While China's the biggest, India is showing this explosive growth. It has the highest CAGR in the whole region, over 5.2%.
Wow. Higher than China's rate.
Yep. It's looking to go from around $530 million in 2021 to almost $1 billion, nearly $980 million by 2033. And you've also got Japan looking strong at over $1.4 billion, South Korea over $1.2 billion by 2033. The scale and speed there are just wild.
Yeah, and if we connect that to the bigger picture, like you said, the growth in China and India, it really reflects a few things coming together. You've got these rapidly growing middle classes, right? More disposable income.
Right.
But it's also how those traditional gifting moments are now plugging into modern retail. Think about ordering flowers online for Diwali or Chinese New Year. That's huge now.
Oh, absolutely.
Or even just new styles of bouquets that appeal to younger people you see on Instagram or WeChat. It's not just more spending, it's new ways of doing it.
That makes sense. Okay, so from those booming Asian markets, let's shift over to North America. Still a major player, very consistent. This market grew from just over $5.2 billion in 2021, and it's projected to hit about $8.5 billion by 2033. So a solid key GR there, too, around 4.1%.
Still pretty healthy growth for a mature market.
Definitely. And the U.S. is the clear leader, no shock there. Around $4 billion in 2021, expected to reach over $6.3 billion by 2033. But, don't sleep on Canada. It actually shows a really strong CAGR, over 5.1%.
Oh, interesting. Higher than the U.S. rate.
Yeah, growing from nearly $700 million in 21 to $1.3 billion by 2033. Pretty impressive. And Mexico is growing steadily, too, from about $525 million to almost $950 million projected. So it's steady growth, but like you said, for a mature market.
Yeah.
What keeps it going like this year after year? Is it just old habits, or is there something else?
Well, that's a great question, because you're right. For an established market like North America, just coasting on tradition probably isn't enough. I mean, sure, you have the big ones, Valentine's, Mother's Day, anniversaries. Those are huge and deeply ingrained.
Right, the classics.
Exactly. But the sustained growth also points to a really strong retail setup and innovation, too. Think about flower subscription boxes now, or same-day delivery becoming standard.
Yeah, those are big now.
Or even the push towards locally sourced, sustainable flowers. That appeals to a different kind of consumer, maybe a younger one. All these things keep the market humming and expanding, not just holding steady.
Absolutely. Good point. Okay, now let's group Europe and South America together, both showing steady, significant contributions. Europe, for instance. Its market was around $3.7 billion in 2021.
Okay.
And that's projected to grow to over 6.1 billion by 2033. So a respectable CAGR there too, about 4.3%.
Yeah.
And the UK is really leading the way in Europe. Its CAGR is over 5.1%.
Matching Canada's rate then.
Exactly. It's projected to hit over $2 billion by 2033, up from about 1.1 billion. Germany's also significant, nearly 600 million projected. And here's a little detail I found kind of surprising. Luxembourg.
Luxembourg.
Yeah, relatively small country, right. But its projected market size is over $700 million by 2033.
Wow, that is notable for its size.
Isn't it? Shows the diversity. Okay, moving south. South America, their market was worth about 2.8 billion in 2021, expected to reach over 4.6 billion by 2033. Similar side GR to Europe, about 4.3%.
Interesting parallel.
And Colombia really stands out here, projected to reach over 1.8 billion by 2033. Brazil was a leader back in 21, and it's also set for good growth, hitting over 1.1 billion. So looking at both continents, what's driving things? Are the forces different? Like, is Europe more about tradition and South America more about those emerging economies? Is that fair?
Well, I think that's a decent starting point, yeah. Europe definitely benefits from those deep cultural roots, stable spending for birthdays, holidays. But even there, you're seeing new trends gain ground. Like you mentioned, sustainable flowers, locally grown, that could be tapping into new demand, even in mature markets.
Right.
Whereas in South America, yes, it's definitely linked to those growing consumer markets, the rising middle class. But it might also be the specific ways flowers are used there, Vibrant religious festivals, big family gatherings, maybe more everyday expressions of affection that are sort of unique to the culture there?
Ah, good point. Those cultural specifics matter.
Exactly. It just highlights how universal gifting flowers is, even if the economic and cultural engines behind it vary quite a bit.
That's a great way to put it. Okay, final segment. And this one shows, well, real extremes. The Middle East and Africa. Let's start with the Middle East. The report says this region actually had the lowest CAGR globally, just over 3.2%.
Lowest globally. Okay.
Yeah. So the market's projected to grow from about 1.65 billion in 2021 to just over 2.4 billion by 2033. Steady, but slower. Within the region, Saudi Arabia is the big one, expected to cross $1 billion by 2033, up from around 717 million. Then you have the UAE, around 417 million projected, Qatar, around 240 million. So growth, but yeah, comparatively slower. But then you pivot to Africa, and it's the undisputed fastest growing region in the world, staggering CAGR of over 8.1%.
8.1%. That's massive.
It really is. The market size is just exploding. From just over $1 billion in 2021 to a projected $3 billion by 2033, more than doubling, nearly tripling.
Wow.
And get this, within Africa, Nigeria's growth is just exceptional. It boasts the highest KGR of any single country in the report, an incredible 8.7%.
Nigeria, 8.7%. Goodness.
It's projected to soar from about 450 million in 2021 to over $1.4 billion by 2033. South Africa is showing strong growth too, from around 123 million up to over 380 million. But that contrast, right, between the Middle East's slower pace and Africa's boom, it's pretty stark.
It absolutely is. And it tells such a powerful story, doesn't it? About different points in economic development, different cultural shifts maybe. Well, the Middle East shows that steadier, maybe more traditional market growth.
Right.
Africa's rapid expansion, especially Nigeria, signals, well, a bunch of things hitting at once. You've got the emerging economies, rising urbanization.
A young population too, right?
Exactly. A young, growing demographic. And probably a really fast adoption of digital tech, e-commerce, making it easier than ever to order flowers.
Yeah, leapfrogging maybe some older retail models.
Could be. It just highlights how economic development can unlock these new ways for people to connect and express themselves using something universal like flowers, but maybe through very modern channels.
What an incredible trip around the world, eh? All just looking at flowers. So, to recap what we've unpacked here, global floral gifting. It's a big market, consistently growing, heading towards that $40 billion mark by 2033.
Yeah, solid growth across the board, really.
Asia Pacific and North America are the giants, keeping that scale, mixing tradition and new ideas. Europe and South America showing stable, significant growth, each with their own sort of flavor. But the real standout, the one that really grabs your attention, is Africa. Fastest growing overall, and Nigeria's growth is just off the charts.
Hmm.
Extraordinary. And these aren't just numbers on a page, are they? They really underscore how important this simple act of gifting flowers is, culturally and economically everywhere. It connects people.
Yeah.
So what does all this mean for you as someone watching these global shifts?
Well, this data, this research from cognitive market research, it really paints a picture of how deeply rooted this is. Floral gifting. It crosses borders, economic situations. It seems almost universal. It's driven by emotion, by tradition, but it's shaped by local economics and technology. So looking ahead, what's fascinating to think about now is how will things change? How might evolving social norms, maybe different family structures or new reasons to celebrate, how will that, plus increasingly slick e-commerce or even growing concerns about where flowers come from, sustainability,
Right, the eco angle.
yeah, how might all that subtly shift these trends? Who will the leaders be in another 10 years? Will the next big boom come from somewhere unexpected, maybe driven by digital natives?
Mm.
Or will the established players just find new ways to keep blooming? It really makes you wonder, doesn't it?